Man, when it comes to anime and manga and stuff like Blackjack, I love reading stuff like this. Now, if you don't know who Blackjack is a character that was created by Osamu Tezuka, as in this Osamu Tezuka. And if that name sounds familiar to you, well, it should. This is not only the guy who pioneered anime and manga to the point where it's become such a huge thing today, but he's also the same guy who created everybody's favorite Japanese Mickey Mouse, Astro Boy. Also, if you haven't seen the 2003 Astro Boy series, you really should. It's really good. But aside from Astro Boy, Blackjack has remained one of his most underrated classics that I pretty much enjoyed reading back when I was in high school. Blackjack is basically a tale of an unlicensed surgeon who goes around and tries to cure people with his surgical skill. And yes, I did say unlicensed, which means that what he's doing is illegal. Not to mention, he overcharges the hell out of people. But there's always a certain reason for why he overcharges certain people. Like, this character has appeared in so many different stories that it is crazy that nobody knows who he is or isn't talking about him as much. Now, on his website, he did write that most of the illnesses and the treatments that he wrote into his work are fake, but his work contains elements that are well respected by doctors of today. But much like our protagonist, some of the stories can get a little bit dark. Take, for example, my favorite story, Revenge. So Blackjack was called into a meeting by the JMA, or the Japanese Medical Association. They basically tell him that they're getting sick of him operating without a medical license as well as overcharging his clients. So they gave him an ultimatum. He was either going to take the national exam and get a license, or he was going to get thrown in jail. Also to stop overcharging his patient. And like a G, he tells him to go stuff it, saying he's not going to follow their rules and he's going to do things his way. So the chairman decided if he wasn't going to listen to reason, that he was just going to send him to jail anyway. And as you can see, he's unfazed by this. After that, a rich Italian businessman named Boccherini, I think I said that right, comes to Blackjack for help in curing his grandson, claiming the boy has essential arterial thrombosis. This is basically what it is, and you can pause and read if you like. So the man admits to Blackjack that he's taken his grandson to every single hospital, not just in Italy, but around the world, with his only hope being Blackjack himself. The man was even willing to post $100 million just to bail Blackjack out of prison. And despite the honor of being picked by the old man, Blackjack literally tells him that there's nothing that he can do, but the man would not give up. So he decides to meet with the chairman from earlier to see if he can convince Blackjack out of prison. And as you can tell with his smug face, he's not budging at all. He even went as far as to say that if he lets Blackjack out of prison, there was going to be more doctors that are going to operate just like he does, and claims we doctors have our pride. But Grandpa was so desperate that he was willing to donate $10 million to the JMA, and he said, nah, we don't need your money. We have enough to pretty much burn in a fireplace. But Grandpa wasn't budging one bit, because he said that he will literally pressure the governments of Italy and Japan if it means to get Blackjack out of jail. So the chairman decided to call the Prime Minister and tells him if Blackjack is left out of prison, all the doctors were gonna go on strike. This guy, I hate him. But of course, with his arm twisted, Grandpa had no other choice but to play their game. I'm just saying, all you had to do was just let him out just so he can, cure one kid. Like, come on, look at this kid. He just wants to go out and play. Like, come on. So the chairman, feeling smug as always, decides that he was going to get one of his own doctors in order to fix the kid. So they took the kid, ran a few tests on them, and then tried to look through his stuff to see what they can do. Also, can we take a minute to appreciate this attention to detail here? I'm sorry, it's just so cool. But just like all the other doctors that examined the kid, there's nothing they can do. But it only gets worse when the kid finally has a heart attack because he's got a clot in his heart. So they put the kid on oxygen and hope for the best. But in the end, Pietro didn't make it. But remember what his grandfather said in this panel. It's going to come back later. So the grandfather relays the message to Blackjack in jail that his grandson has passed away, with Blackjack not feeling all too happy about it. But remember when I said to keep Grandpa's words in mind? You're about to find out why. Remember this smug prick from earlier? Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and play this clip.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
So yeah, karma came in a form of bullets aimed directly at his son. Because as it turns out, the grandfather wasn't just an Italian businessman, he was actually the mafia godfather. You heard me right. The chairman literally pissed off the godfather of the mafia. So yeah, he fucked around and he found out. And his son is suffering from 3 bullets in his chest and 1 in his heart. So he has to be put on life support in order to keep him stable. And karma comes in full circle because when he asked the doctors to operate on his son, they literally said the same thing that they told Pietro. There's nothing he can do. So who do you think he called on for help? Blackjack himself. So he wants Blackjack to help him save his son, even going as far as to give him a license and commanded him to operate right away. Now let me get this straight. Now I want y'all to remember, when this man was literally begging him to let Blackjack out of prison to save his own grandson, he literally said no, because he cares more about the reputation of the medical association than he does saving an actual life. But when the tables are turned, then all of a sudden, the rules do not apply. So Blackjack did exactly what I would do, and he ripped up that medical license and basically telling the dude to go stuff himself. The chairman gets on his hands and knees and begs Blackjack to save his son, and that's where the story ends. This is why I love stories like this and why I think Blackjack is a fantastic character. Sure, what he's doing is illegal, but it seems like he's the only doctor that cares about the value of a human life. And then when you read his stories and go into his own backstory, you can understand why. Why he decided to be a doctor. Why is he unlicensed? What his morals are. And stuff like that is why I think this character deserves a comeback. But anyway, what do you guys think about Blackjack? Did you enjoy the story? Does it make you want to read more of his stuff? And if you have read about Blackjack, what's your favorite story? Leave it down in the comments below.